So we have another case of a young child who may be deported and that will risk her life. So the Department of Homeland Security terminated the family's humanitarian parole before it expired, and the family fears that they might not be able to get it back. So a Mexican girl, 4 years old, has been getting life-saving treatments in Los Angeles after her family's immigration status was abruptly revoked. They had been here legally, and then they're revoking their status. If they deport us and take away my daughter's access to her specialized care, she will die, says Daisy Vargas, the girl's mother. And she said it in Spanish at a news conference. Her 4-year-old daughter, who's being identified by the initials SGV, was born with a defect in her small intestines known as short bowel syndrome. Condition does not allow her body to absorb nutrients from regular food. Instead, the girl receives all the nutrients she needs intravenously through a treatment known as total parenteral nutrition, or TPN. The doctors are treating her have stated very clearly that if her treatment is interrupted, she will die within days. She will die within days. This is a classic example where deportation would equal death for this child. A desperate situation. To prevent malnutrition, SGV receives TPN treatment each night at home for at least 14 hours. The mother and her attorney said during the day when the girl goes to preschool or accompanies her mother to the supermarket, she wears a portable version of the treatment in a backpack. 4 times a day, she spends 1 hour connecting her daughter to gastric tubes. The company that manufactures the equipment that delivers the intravenous nutrition says the girl does not allow the equipment to travel outside the United States, which, again, why would it not allow the equipment to travel outside the United States? Like, that's another problem with our healthcare system. Like, why can't, if she does get deported, why not at least make sure that she can have the things that she needs to survive? But you're not going to allow this young girl, if this administration acts like a bunch of crapheads, you're not going to allow them to keep at least the devices that allow her to be sustained and kept alive? I mean, that's just one of the problems with our unadulterated pure capitalism that the conservatives tend to love. Capitalism kills, and this is just another example of capitalism killing. Before coming to the United States nearly 2 years ago, SGV was in a really terrible shape and having a very difficult time surviving. The girl had been receiving care in Mexico, spending hours in a hospital bed, receiving nutrients intravenously. SGV was not growing or getting better, desperate to get better. Vargas and her partner used the defunct CBP One app on July 2023 to legally enter the U.S. through the southern border. The family was then granted humanitarian parole for the purpose of seeking medical treatment. The girl was taken to a hospital in San Diego on their arrival, and she was in such poor health, the family and attorney said. A year later, she was referred to Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. Doctors there have been caring for her SGV for the past year, monitoring the TPN treatment she receives. Now, with the help my daughter receives in the United States, she has the opportunity to leave the hospital, see the world, and live like a child her age. According to the family's legal team, the humanitarian parole was set to expire at the end of July, and Vargas was currently fighting to get it extended, but they canceled it. They terminated the parole and work authorization. If you do not depart the United States immediately, you will be subject to potential law enforcement actions that will result in your removal from the United States unless you have otherwise obtained a lawful basis to remain here, is what they said. This is why this administration is a bunch of freaking idiots. You cannot call anybody in this administration pro-life, because they are not pro-life. I understand that pro-life is a colloquialism for being against abortion, but still, it's a horrible colloquialization because you're not pro-life. If you would deport this young girl who was here legally, she did not violate the laws. They jumped through all the right hoops. They did all the right steps, and now they want to kick her out, which is going to be a death sentence for this child. Don't tell me you're frickin' pro-life. However, we should know that these people are horrible people because Joni Ernst, in a town hall, went ahead and said this BS to the people.
When we're talking about the corrections in this reconciliation bill, again, it's corrections of overpayments and people that have not been eligible for these programs by law as it is currently written.
That's just a lie, or at least an estimate of the amount of people who might be receiving benefits who shouldn't be. If you are not here under our laws, you are not eligible for Medicaid. Let's make that clear. Now, might some people slip through the cracks? Sure. Also, some people who are not eligible for Medicaid, who are still here, can still use the emergency room, and they can't turn them away because they have to treat them in an emergency. So by not providing these people Medicaid, they're more likely to have worse health outcomes. But they don't care about that. They don't care about the lives of people. But the idea that, all these people are getting health care that shouldn't be is an absurd statement. Furthermore, the difference between us, the people on the left, and these MAGA conservative types is this. One of them, at least, is this. We would rather have too many people get treatment, get care, get benefits, and make sure that everybody who should be getting those benefits gets them, instead of giving too few people benefits and having people who are eligible for it, who are not getting it, slip through the cracks. It's almost the same as voting as well. I mean, if you look at how we treat voting, we would rather make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to vote who should be able to vote, and if one or two vote who shouldn't, and that's probably the maximum extent of the amount of people that are voting who shouldn't, one or two, not enough to change an election. But if, they happen to get past the checks or whatever, fine. Again, it's not the huge problem that they make it out to be, but I'd rather everybody be able to cast a ballot than preventing people who are eligible to vote from voting. Republicans would rather make sure that nobody votes who's not supposed to vote, and don't care if in casting that wide net that other people who should be able to vote aren't getting the opportunity to vote. That's what happened in Florida in 2000. If you were way back then, that's exactly what happened. Katherine Harris, the head of the state, Secretary of State's department, she cast a wide net and removed a bunch of people from the rolls, many of whom should not have been removed from the rolls, and as such weren't able to vote because we did not yet have provisional ballots yet. So that's just a different mindset between us and them. They would rather infringe on people's rights to make sure that people are not getting to do things that citizens get, or legal, or people here in followance of our laws. We would rather make sure that everybody be cared for, and everybody who has the abilities and the rights that they should be able to take advantage of are able to take advantage of them. Let's continue.
So when you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits,
they're not.
1.4 million.
I have no reason to believe her numbers.
1.4. They are not eligible, so they're
not eligible.
Coming off.
They're not eligible, so they're not getting it.
So people are not. Well, we all are going to die.
We all are going to die. Yes, we are all going to die. But to use that as a justification to pass these horrible bills that will strip healthcare away from people who are here legally, who are citizens, who are getting caught up in their attempts to, cut all willy-nilly without measuring twice, people are going to get harmed by these horrible policies of this administration. But she doubled down on the crap. She doubled down on this BS. Let's listen to her next statement.
To sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall.
She's going to sincerely apologize. Do we believe that there's a sincere apology that's, coming down the pipe? Do we believe that?
I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that yes, we are all going to perish from this earth.
So she is doubling down on her horribleness by clearly just saying, oh, well, I thought everybody knew that everybody died. Of course everybody knows that people are going to die, but to use that line in response to people's concerns over your support over terrible legislation, people could die because of these policies. Well, people die. Is she saying the same thing about this young girl, this 4-year-old girl, who has the opportunity to get life-saving medical treatment in this country and won't be able to if the family gets deported? Oh, but everybody dies. Yeah, this girl shouldn't have to die in a week, but likely will if we kick her out of this country. But people are going to die. The people who should be dying by natural causes are not, unfortunately. I'm not going to advocate for people to have unnatural deaths, but there are many people who should absolutely have natural deaths come down upon them, and those include the people who just callously say, well, we all die.
So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well.
She's really, really glad that she didn't have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy. Maybe she needs a little bit of the truth fairy. She probably needs the truth fairy to come down and, give her some facts. But then again, the truth fairy doesn't come to MAGA houses anyway, clearly, because Donald Trump said in 2016 that he loves the poorly educated, and the poorly educated continue to actively seek to prove they're still worthy of that love every day.